Alright, so in this video, we're going to talk about 3 reasons why the new Apple Vision Pro will succeed, and 3 reasons why it might be more difficult than you might think. Hi, my name is Di Lee, you are my VIP, and on this channel, we talk about tech news and reviews. Okay, so let's first talk about what the new Apple Vision Pro headset is. This is Apple's most exciting product in years, and it's been a long time since they've released a Gen 1 product. So very simply, this is Apple's take on a VR or AR headset, and let's see what's happening both on the inside of the goggles and on the outside. So on the inside, it's got 2 screens, one for each of your eyes, and there are a lot of sensors and eye tracking technology inside. The eye tracking technology is used mainly for 2 purposes. The first is to see where your eyes are looking at, so it knows what you want to select. And the second is to recreate your face for either projecting your eyes on the outside or for FaceTime events. And on the outside, there's also a screen, and there are a ton of cameras that track your environment, including your hands, so that it knows when you tap your fingers to register a click. So let's talk about the reasons why Apple will succeed with this new Vision Pro headset. The first is sleek hardware and amazing tech. From the moment you look at it, even though it's a new product, you know it's an Apple product. It's sleek, it's shiny, and it's expensive. It's made with high quality materials like metal, and it kind of fits into the Apple design aesthetics. Looks very much like an AirPods Max, just with more screens. Now, if you look at one of the pain points that VR has had in the past, they needed to outsource the computational power somewhere else, either to a smartphone device or you had to be tethered to a computer. But now, all of the computational power is built right into this headset. How did Apple achieve this? Well, they've been working on little bits and pieces of this technology in their other product for years now. They're leveraging the power of the new Apple Silicon chips. They started implementing LiDAR on the iPhone 12 Pro. They've implemented already spatial audio in their AirPods. They've been upping their build quality with all the MacBook lineups and the AirPods Max. And they've also been working on original content through Apple TV Plus. So they had all of the basic building blocks there, and what they did was just sandwich them all together into this headset computer that you put on your face. Besides all the technical components that Apple has been working on, in true Apple fashion, they kind of redefine how you interact with the device. What Apple did was to just make a click register just by tapping your fingers. This is definitely the most seamless way in order to interact with the device like this. And speaking of that interaction, let's move on to the second point that Apple's doing really well with this device, which is their distinctive UX or ecosystem. You see, historically, Apple hasn't been necessarily the first mover when it comes to trying out new tech, but when they come in, they always do it in the most sleek and most refined way. The OS, even though it's a brand new VR OS, it looks very similar to macOS or iPad OS, so it should be very familiar for new users to pick up. And the third reason why this is going to succeed is because Apple's business plan is tried and tested. And what I mean by that is, let's take a look at Apple's last first generation product to come out, which was the Apple Watch. When that first came out, there was a $10,000 version of the Apple Watch. Now, nobody's carrying around a $10,000 Gen 1 Apple Watch today, but at the time, it was a bold move. The Apple Watch is now the most ubiquitous and popular watch in the world. Even when it first came out, it kind of almost was like a beta product, and they wanted the early adopters to use it. By generations 2 and 3, it already made so much substantial gains, and I could really see this happening with the Apple Vision Pro. This new one is $3,500, and depending on how you slice it and dice it, this had a lot of money, yes, but there's no other product in that segment that works that seamlessly or that well out there. So in some ways, it does seem justifiable because you're also getting a computer. But generation 2 and 3, and eventually if they make like a budget version, you could see how more people would be able to use this headset and find real value out of it. And straight up, it simply looks like the future. A lot more Ready Player One and less The Matrix. Okay, that being said, that doesn't mean there aren't any risks. Here are 3 reasons why, even if the technology for VR improved, how VR works as a platform would still create problems that couldn't inherently be solved with future technological advancements. Now, let's say we were 10 years into the Apple Vision Pro, and by then almost every household has one and everyone's at least used it. What are some of the problems that are inherently built into a VR headset that wouldn't even change even if there was a 10th year anniversary version of this product? Well, the first is that people just don't like wearing big and heavy things on their heads for long periods of time. For VR, traditionally, I feel like 30 minutes is just about good enough before I start feeling uncomfortable and wanting to take it off. So I can't imagine going a whole workday with the VR headsets on before my head starts getting tired. Also, it will add to eye strain. I'm trying to spend less time staring at screens, but we're really gluing the screens right to your face. That's the final frontier of them closing the gap between screens and your eyeballs. The second problem that I see is with power. This thing needs to be powered somehow, and in the demo, they show that the power cord is separate from the device itself. This was probably a way to save weight on the actual product itself because it is made out of metals. So they outsource the battery and you see that they clip it on. But what happens if that were to get snapped off all of a sudden? Would the whole headset crash? That doesn't seem very Apple-like. There's probably going to be some small internal battery and a warning that says, hey, make sure to plug it back in ASAP. I am curious as to how they're going to address that. Eventually, it seems like they would want to add it all in, but it would come at the cost of a heavier headset. And finally, it's an inherently socially isolating experience. There are studies showing that people are feeling more isolated and more lonely, and now we are strapping a device right up to our faces that's going to exacerbate that issue. I think if you are still wanting to see a movie with your friends on a couch, you would just watch it on your TV so you can experience it together versus each one of you having the headset on and then playing the movie at the same time. And here are two things that I find just kind of weird. The first is FaceTime calls. When I make a FaceTime call, I just want to see my friend's face on the other side. But the way the Apple Vision Pro works is if you make a FaceTime call, it will digitally recreate your face as like an avatar. I don't think that is a fun experience. That's not why I make FaceTime calls. This one might be better just sticking to your iPhone so you can actually see your actual friend's face instead of like a digital avatar version of them. The second thing I thought that was kind of was taking photos. Like, I think it is really cool that it takes photos and recreates them in a 3D space so you can like relive it. That's super futuristic. The idea of someone having a headset on like that in a social setting and running around taking photos just looks kind of weird. So, will this succeed? Well, if there's any company in the world that has the best chance of pulling it off, it is Apple. They have all the technology, all the components to make it work. They're making their own original content. And I don't know of any other company who can pull off something like this as sleek and as seamlessly as Apple is doing it. I can envision a future where people use these on flights. I can envision a future where you can use the Apple Vision Pro to get live courtside seats to sporting events. And if you look at Apple's greatest hits of the last decade, like the iPhone, the Apple Watch, AirPods, I think several years from now, you would be able to add the Apple Vision Pro to that lineup. I'm going to get my hands on this when it comes out, so I can't wait to review it. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.